Welcome to the Love Holistic Living podcast, your roadmap to heal and align mind, body, and soul and become intuitive through food, pleasure, and spirituality with your host and Italian friend, Sara Garofalo. I never thought that I could come out alive. And 2020 was the darkest year of my life. Nobody prepared me for what I was about to face. This is the story of how I healed myself and recovered from narcissistic abuse and being broke and broken in America. As you all know, I'm an immigrant here, and how I healed and broke generational traumas in the middle of a pandemic. So if you're up for the ride, since a lot of people, past and new clients, have asked me to share a podcast episode about my journey, because they all want to know, because sometimes I give bits and pieces and they're like, okay, but last time you said this and this time you're saying this. And how did you go through all of that? So I made some notes because I don't even know how all of this came to be possible in my life. And I hope that by sharing my story that I haven't shared yet, you all can find inspiration to go about your healing journey knowing that you are strong enough to come out on the other side. I'm so lucky that I'm over the hump right now and my life is completely different. But wouldn't I have not taken any of the steps that I'm about to share with you in this journey, I wouldn't be here where I am today. And before I get into it, I'm just going to start with a simple example of a true story. Of a couple of months ago, I met with a single mom now in the community briefly to exchange something. And we both started the journey at the same time. And it was actually shocking to me because I haven't realized all of the inner growth and personal and business growth that I've received throughout the years. But it was just a really beautiful and sad at the same time understanding and empowering moment where I looked at both of our lives. We started at the same time, very similar situation. And she is the same person with the same limiting beliefs and the same financial situation, right? On the opposite side, I saw myself, I didn't have a business and she has a business, right? I didn't have anything at the time. And I was able to co-create with the universe a beautiful life for myself and my kids. So go into this episode knowing that if you leap, the universe will catch you, but you've got to show to the universe that you are willing to do anything possible to get out of the current situation you're in, because the universe will help you, but you can't remain stuck, or your life will remain stuck. So let's go into the story, and let me take you back at the beginning of the pandemic when I started my divorce process. I actually decided to leave the relationship a few months before, but anyway, going through the divorce and then being hit with pandemic and not being able to receive support from my Italian family. And when I mean with support, I mean that I couldn't have physical contact with any members of my family. I couldn't just go and see them. You know, they're on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean, nor could any members of my family, including my parents, come and support me through, you know, going to court or taking care of my kids while I was trying to figure out my life. So that was one of the darkest time of my life. And I remember that my life fell apart in a couple of days. Everything that I knew fell to the ground because I then realized that I had built a castle on sand. and it all fell apart very fast. But I still remember that moment in time where I was sitting on my front porch and I had my hands, my head in my hands. I was crying desperately because I didn't know what to do. I had only $1,500 or less than $1,500 in my bank account, and the rent was much higher than that. I wasn't receiving financial support yet because divorce was just beginning. And at the same time, I didn't have a job. Like with COVID, my massage therapy business fell apart at the same time. So I wasn't able to see clients, and I had full-blown custody of my kids and no way of like getting out of that. So I was really, really scared because I was like, I don't want to end up on the street. I had considered the possibility to go into a shelter and a low-income home. And I was like, universe, tell me where to go. I'm at this point with no resistance to you. I just knew that I had to make that choice because the psychological, financial, emotional abuse that I was under was degrading me. It was literally killing me from the inside. My body had already shut down. So I was also trying to heal my body from a chronic autoimmune disorder. So I knew that I couldn't go backward, but I didn't know how to move forward. I didn't know the next few steps. And so I sat down on my front porch and I literally talked to God or the universe. And I said, please give me one sign that you're supporting me. Like, give me anything. I'll take it. I'll even scrub the floors and I'll do anything to take myself out of this situation. And I promise you that I'm very, very determined. Like, I don't want to stay in this. And 2 days later, I received a call from a friend, and she was kind of in the same boat of her business, the physical business she had was stopping. And she needed to jump on and help the husband and needed help with the kids. So she's like, you have kids? I have kids. Do you want to babysit my kids? I need babysitting. And I'm like, great, I'll take that on, right? So I was helping her and at the same time helping myself to pay rent. And at the same time, I was like, okay, this is great for right now. But I tried to look forward and ahead of time of like, I may only have a couple months. I can feel this of babysitting. So what's after that? And I need to combine all of the skill set that I have to find something to do right now, to co-create. And what do I want to do? So I sat down one night and I thought it through. I already had a certification. I was already a health coach, and I was already certified in Eastern medicine in a modality called Ayurveda. So it's holistic nutrition, to make it short. And I was a massage therapist, couldn't practice at the time. And I was also a life coach. So I was like, okay, I really know the body. I healed myself. I already have the certifications to practice. Why don't I create a business, because I want to coach, that is completely aligned? That's all I can do right now. And that's also what I want to do. So I didn't know how, though. I was like stuck. And the worst part about all of this that, I'm not going to go into the nitty gritty. All I can tell you is I had court coming up and I was really battling with anxiety and PTSD, which means that the trauma response that I would have was lasting a week and or days, which means that every time, I don't know, that something was triggered within myself, I literally couldn't function for days or a week. And I was still learning how to come back into my body because I was having like disassociation. And I had started therapy. So that was the beginning of, I was like, okay, I need support. I'm also wanting to build a business and I need to support my kids. So they were in therapy. And at the same time, it's funny to look at everything that I pulled together at that time, but you can do it too. So I looked for every free resource that I could gain at the time while my life was falling apart. And I devoured first content, how to heal yourself, how to stop a narcissist, how to ground yourself, and all of these things. The best part, though, that I can tell you that was like supported me through the process was that because I knew the body so much, and I was already healing myself through chronic illnesses, but the one thing that I can tell you that made a difference is that I was able to know how to handle my body nutritionally. And that is a huge step because I knew that in order to heal the traumas, to heal myself emotionally and spiritually, the body needed to support what I was going through it. And so I created like my meal plan, and I went into gut healing protocol. I was very strict, but I needed to do that because my body was not responding. No matter what I was eating, I would have flares all over my body. I was so stressed out. I was bloated. I was constipated. And I was even like throwing up because of court. And it was like so much what I was going through. So what I can tell you is if you are ever going through something stressful or are you doing emotional healing or spiritual healing, make sure that your body is supported with good nutrition. That was the one thing that I knew how to do. And once I put that in place, then I was able to gain more energy throughout the process so that I could support all of the work that I was doing. And I was with the kids during the day, until they fell asleep. And then at night, I bought some courses at the beginning, and I started building a website, and I started to create like the business that I wanted. Until I felt stuck. I was like, okay, I don't even know how to get clients at this point. I don't even know how to market myself, all of these things. I was stuck in fear again. And I then found, I don't know even how, this business coach. And they reached out to me. So they did the outreach. And I jumped on a call with them. Didn't know all of this business stuff. So I jumped on a call and even though it was a huge investment, I remember being on the call and feeling so scared for the leap that I was about to take, the investment on myself. I never invested a penny on myself at that point. And I realized that I was broke, and I realized that my life was stuck. And the only way that I could move something was to do something. I was like, it's either I cannot invest in myself, and this is my life. And what is going to happen if I don't have the tools, the resources, and a guide right now that I so much need to take myself out of here? I know this reality. And also, I want to be here. So with my hands shaking, holding that credit card, I put down the first payment. Didn't know how I was going to get the second one. I was like, universe, I'm receiving a big yes right now. So I'm going to do it, and I'm going to really put into work everything they're saying. So by the way, I always listen to my intuition, and my full body said yes on that call. So I did that. I enrolled into this program. And the best part about this is that when you start really investing in yourself, you've never done it before, you put so much into it that's the biggest transformation you'll ever receive in your life. And I was doing everything that this coach told me, including meditation, journaling, including he had this wonderful subconscious reprogramming sessions available for coaches, right? And I was like, it started changing my life. So I was creating a business, and I was doing that while the kids were asleep. And I was working throughout, during the day, and I received the beautiful gift of being introduced to these healing sessions. I had 2 healing sessions of deep quantum healing, deep subconscious reprogramming, and my PTSD lowered majorly to the point that after a year of therapy, my therapist was like, I don't think we have nothing to do here. My therapy dismissed me. And I was like, I'm not done. Like, I feel like I'm at the beginning of the journey. And she's like, yeah, but you're also not where you were, so we can't continue the journey. And I was like, but I need support. Anyway, we had this talk and I was like, I just felt like, okay, we're done. We're hitting a wall over here, but there is so much that I want to do. So I started to invest in the healing, in my healing journey, and realized that I needed to see healers. So I went on a healing retreat for myself, invested again. And at the time, again, that's what happens all the time. So I didn't know how I was going to get the money back for that retreat. I was like, but I know I have to do it. And a week later, so I came back, and a week later, I closed a client and I got all the money back, right? So I was like, okay. I started building trust with the universe. I realized that if I invested in something that was either going to be for my business growth, my personal growth, and ultimately for my kids, because the more centered, the more grounded, the more abundant, the more happy I was, the more I could support them. The more the universe started to respond. So I kind of built that language, that communication with the universe of, do I need to invest in this? Yes, no. And if it's a full-blown yes, I'll do it, even if it's so freaking scary. And if it's no or wobbly, like, no, I won't do it. But I built that relationship with the universe to feel its support, to feel the support that the universe has truly your back, like Gabby Bernson says. But at the same time, you have to show the universe that you're willing to do it. You're willing to do the work. I wasn't just sitting at home, not doing anything. I literally was at the time hustling, trying to get out of survival mode. And I had figured out that I needed skill set. So I needed the tools, but I also needed healing, because the more I would heal, the more, again, I could break generational patterns. But my PTSD, my anxiety was getting better. I wasn't getting as triggered. The trauma response that I was having, that I shared at the beginning, where I was in survival mode, like disassociated for days and even a week time, became less and less. And we're talking about in the course of 1 year. So don't think that there is a quick fix here. The healing journey is a long-lasting process, but I felt like I was bending time. Something that takes people 10 plus 20 years to heal and recover from, I was bending it down into a couple of years. Now, the first year was the biggest shift of them all, because I was starting to bring in, the abundance needed to support my family. And at the same time, I was shifting my limiting beliefs, and I was seeing that I was shifting my outer reality. Now, was it hard? Was it super hard? It was like emotionally so hard. There were many days, and I think it was like about a year, the first year, that darkest time of my life, that I cried every single day hysterically for 1 year. And like my coach at the time said, you have to empty the bucket. So I was like, great, I'm going to empty the bucket because I don't want this yuckiness inside of me. So fast forward into about 2 to 3 years time. I think after 3 years, then I was at a place where I knew that I wanted to write a book. And I'm always so creative, so I know that I have a lot of energy to begin with. So I was kind of over the hump a little bit of my healing journey. After 3 years, my divorce was done, finalized that. And I started writing my book. And so many people asked me, how did you even write the book with everything that you were doing? And let me tell you this, when you have a project, when you're living in your purpose, when you really want to do something, you will make it happen, but there are sacrifices to be made. And the sacrifice that I decided at the time to make was that I focused all of my effort into being there for my kids and into the business. And I left out the having a relationship part. So I'm very conscious of what I chose. I chose I don't want to be in a relationship. I'm not ready. I'm healing, I'm building, I'm supporting my kids, and I want to write a book. So I would spend the weekends that I had away from them to a month, creating, testing, writing. And then I handed it over to a beautiful team of the Exalted Publishing House, and they've supported me through this process. It was like a beautiful process. It all came together. Now, my book, Manja, is not just a book. I knew that I wanted to write that chapter of my life where I supported the body. I healed myself through food and through spiritual work. So that's what the book is about. All of the recipes included in Manja were the recipe that I used during this darkest time to heal my gut and support my spiritual journey. And at the same time, I've had clients and people telling me that they've also lost weight if that's one of your goals. So go and check it out. I'll place the link below for you to check out my book that is about building a holistic lifestyle, healing your body, healing your gut without giving up pleasure, and also lose weight if that's one of your goals. So go and check that out right now. And so before I go into the real tools of what I practice and I did to heal myself, I want to just give you a quick summary of what happened within 1 to 3 years of doing deep inner work at a cellular level. That is the one that I now offer to all of my clients because I fell so much in love with the process of healing that I realized I was bending time and I was literally, truly one closer step away from my dream life. And I didn't need to wait for 10, 20 years for that to happen. So in a span time, in a very short time, if you think about a lifetime, I was able to shorten the time of being in trauma response from 1 week to a day to, an hour, Then my confidence started to grow drastically, like big time. I confronted my fears. And don't think that you see me in video and I knew how to do that. I was so scared to speak on videos. I just confronted all of my fears and I invested time and energy and money in myself because I knew that the more I was able to heal, the more I could create more for myself and support my kids. And what I saw was that one step at a time, my life started to become really, really beautiful. And the most beautiful part about this was that I was creating that. Nobody came and saved me. Nobody came with a big check and said, I'm the Prince Charming and I'm going to save you and rescue you. And I'm like, nobody came. But it's so beautiful when you realize that you're your own savior and you have all of this power. So to recap on the tools that I applied to heal my life, myself, okay? Again, PTSD, anxiety, and chronic inflammation, gut health issues, autoimmune disorder, to brain damage, to narcissistic abuse was always, and I'm going to divide it into body, mind, and soul. Remember that I applied the tools of holistic nutrition. So eating right for my body type. If you don't know what that means, I have it on my website and that's what I taught for years, but focus on healing your gut. That will give you immediate energy and mental clarity to function, literally. Then once you start healing your gut and your body starts to respond positively and you feel more energized from the inside out, then you can start with the mind. Mindset work is not only to affirm positive affirmation, positive thoughts, but to change your limiting beliefs, to understand that you're the hero, not the victim of your story. And I wrote down all the limiting beliefs that I was carrying at the time. And I still do these exercises constantly. I started writing and telling a different story. I started journaling. Meditating was a must to still my mind. I started spending time in nature, and this is free, by the way. The time that I would spend being held by nature were priceless, and I still do them, not maybe every day, but I would go to the beach or I would go literally in nature and lay there because I realized that it was recharging me and cleansing me. So I was allowing for nature to take all of my pain away. I was also doing then different somatic activities for myself. For example, dancing has been a big part of my life, and I'm not a great dancer, but I can go into the music and dance. And I would use music to help me shake it off, to shake it out of me, and then to raise my vibration. I would use certain sounds to help me to manifest my dream life. And again, for the soul, at a soul level, energy work, subconscious reprogramming, I realized that I needed those tools and I invested in those. So sometimes I can't give energy to myself, but I can have someone have Reiki on me or do subconscious reprogramming on me, because, that's what I do for clients, but I also receive it. So I know how good that feels. And for the soul, again, the soul part is a release of the trauma, the letting go process, the closing chapters. And all of these tools were given to me through this amazing journey that we're all here to live. And I know that mine was terrible. If you look at it, it was like, oh my God, how did you survive it? But going through that, I allowed for this strong woman to come out on the other side. And I wasn't this person before. I was the little shy lamb that was always attracting predator. And I realized through the process, it was really painful, if I must be honest, and vulnerable. Many days and ending up crying and cussing and being mad, but at the same time being grateful, because again, if you can look at your life through the lenses of I'm the hero, I can get myself out of this. I can learn the tools and I can transform my life, then it is priceless if you think about it. The one thing that I knew at the beginning of this journey when my life fell apart was that I didn't want to be stuck. And I knew that if you don't take actions, you remain stuck. And I also knew that I was the person who was determined to get myself out of the situation that I got myself into it. So I couldn't blame anybody but myself. And so I reframed that story into, I want to be the hero. I want to change my life. And it's all happening. And now you see me here, and I have a podcast, I have a book, and I have a business, and a thriving business, and brands that want to collaborate, and all of these things that came, but with practice. I didn't know how to edit videos. I didn't know how to build a website. I just learned. I was willing and open to use the resources I already had and also learn new resources. I was open to get myself unstuck. So if you are wanting to go from stuck to empowered and consequently magnetic, then click the link below. I'm going to add the link of either booking a call with me to discuss your journey that we can take for you. We can take with you so that you can transform your life. And also, if you don't want to go on a journey, on a 3 months minimum program journey, then book a private session where we do healing at a cellular level. And the link will be down below for you so that you can experience what I've experienced in my life that began to transform my life till today. So I hope that this was helpful, inspiring, educational, and that you live this episode with the belief and the hope that you can heal and transform your life. Thank you again. A big hug, a big warm thank you from your Italian host and friend, Sara Garofalo.